Glenn Hunter, Saipan resident, businessman, open critic of Governor Fitial's administration. Is that, does sum it up?
Somewhat. I'm concerned citizen. Yeah, that would be just kind of a broad description.
Okay,
and not actively opposed to just Fitial's administration, but just public corruption in general.
Okay. Well, you have been active in this case from the sidelines as someone who is championing what you're talking about, this civil justice and you've been very vocal. We're friends on Facebook, and a lot of this comes through Facebook. I understand what your point of view is, but this has been a long, sort of treacherous, painful journey for a lot of people up in Saipan, including yourself. You're a longtime resident. Were you raised there, Glenn?
Correct, yes, yeah. I've been here for more than 36 years now.
Yeah, and they call this unprecedented vote that they're going to be taking in the House on the impeachment. Is this unprecedented display of injustice for you and in your experience living up there?
It's definitely unprecedented. We've on so many different levels. I think the biggest one, and the one that's impressed me the most, is the one thing that I've been trying to do more than anything is getting information out to the people of the CNMI and out to the citizens, so that they can all make a judgment for themselves as to what they see. Because in the past there was a grave sense of apathy among the population, just because I think somebody told me it before, was the more they know, the more that we care. And so what I've tried to do the most, and people working with me, has been to get information out to the public. And I think that's what we're seeing today as a result of the CNMI population getting information on what exactly is going on in government, and getting to see firsthand acts of public corruption.
So in your pursuit to out this public corruption, have you not also taken sort of personal hits for retaliation from forces that are in support of the governor?
Well, I think anybody that speaks out, or anybody that tries to shine light on things that people try to keep secretly, are going to be subject to that. I mean, that's always going to be like commonplace in any field. Anytime you try and stick your neck out, or you try and go against the grain, or you try and change a status quo.
Well, what has happened to you?
Yeah, but nothing insurmountable. And I think that's the first thing. It's just the one thing that's happened is fear has been dissolved, because the truth is there's no way to totally intimidate somebody on U.S. soil from speaking their mind.
Well, I mean, you had a reporter. I talked to Brad Rosala when he was down here last month, talking, just in an interview. But there's a reporter from the Variety. Was it the Variety or the Tribune? One of the two papers up there that was intimidated to the point where there were actual attacks on her property and threats made to her life.
Well, there have been stories of intimidation tactics. I mean, I just spoke and gave my 2 cents to the House this morning, thanking them for bringing it to this point, and for coming up to what's about to be a vote on the articles of impeachment. And I think anybody who's, again, fighting the status quo and going against the powers that be will be subject to some level of intimidation. But the point is, it's none of the intimidation tactics they employ can justify stopping anyone from speaking. And so even things such as the threats on the reporter. I mean, there were threats on the reporter. There were people losing their job. There were threats on people being suspended for everything you could throw at them. But the truth is, if something is wrong and something needs to be addressed, everybody knows. It's just basic. All your life growing up, you're always going to have the bullies in class that try and do bad things to get the good people to stop doing what they do. But in the end, that never succeeds. Common sense sinks in, and people recognize that there truly is nothing to fear other than fear itself. And once you adopt that belief, you can pretty much do anything and say whatever you want and stand up clear and proud of what you're saying, especially when you're fighting something as blatantly wrong as public corruption. I mean, that's the use of our tax dollars being spent, misused, you know.
Well, the public corruption...
has a devastating effect on the economy itself.
Right, but public corruption has been... go ahead. I'm saying public corruption has been rampant in Saipan for many years. I need to know what it was and where it was in the point of this very long, grotesque story of abuse or allegations of abuse. Did people start to pay attention? Because there were some blatant, there's blatant evidence that was revealed. I don't know if it was from the former AG, Buckingham guy. Was it the fuel contract? Was it the masseuse being let out of the detention center? Where did it become so grotesque that people started to pay attention and not turn the other way?
Gosh, I think it was a combination of different things. I know there were a lot of a lot of people come up to me and say I spearhead speaking out and fighting public corruption, but the truth is I'm following in the blazing trails of people that came before me and in recent years especially that went ahead and took the bull by the horns and started it openly and publicly. One that's near and dear to my heart, I'm biased on it, is my better half, Tina Sablan. She was a representative up here, and she championed transparency and exposing public corruption, and so she was able to pinpoint things that you brought up: the massage gate incident, the AG's flight from justice, things of that nature. And when the public became knowledgeable about these acts of corruption being done or these abuses of power, I mean, we have a failing retirement system. This governor basically gave himself a holiday from paying the retirement fund. Things of that nature that all add up. Then, of course, the active citizenry shouldn't sit back and allow it to happen. And so what we have today is they've picked the most important ones, the 18 most important ones, and they put them together in a list of articles of impeachment, 18 articles of impeachment, and all of those together, along with a myriad of many more incidents, kind of boiled over the top, and it got the public very upset. And it's not just aimed at only this administration. This is one step in a long trail ahead of steps towards CNMI's recovery. And it's difficult because whenever you challenge the people in power, you do put yourself out there. But it's an important step, and it'll set a precedent that we won't tolerate abuse of power by our public officials.
So tell me whether or not any of these people who have now become incensed with the governor's alleged actions over the years actually turned out to testify today.
Yeah, most definitely. They've been out in numbers, for the last few months, and then the biggest place that they turned up, because we've always said there's been a strong sentiment among the people, a strong, what they labeled a silent majority. And what ended up happening is they basically revealed their stance and their presence in the election. In that election, every supporter of the articles of impeachment came up on the ballot, was strongly elected into office, and those that supported the governor and his administration and tried to impede upon the impeachment process, they pretty much all got booted from office. So I think in terms of the public showing up in strong numbers, they really did when it mattered most. And
so you have more. So it's the gallery is showing more against than there are for. I mean, there is still a pretty viable faction of people who are taking this pretty seriously.
As far as the showing, no. I mean, there's like I said, there's 16 representatives who have co-sponsored or co-authored the articles of impeachment. That's 16 out of 20. That's 80% of our representatives. Each representative has an equal number of voters underneath them. So that's a good barometer as far as who among the population supports the impeachment process. It's greater than an 80% number. And then, of course, you got the people that can't vote. And
that's interesting. One of the people who can't vote is also incarcerated. Is that right?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Isn't there a representative who's incarcerated at the moment?
I'm sorry, Patty. You're breaking up on me.
Yeah, I know. I'm
people that are incarcerated.
I said, isn't there a representative currently incarcerated in the Senate? That is. Isn't there a senator?
Yes. In the Senate, we do have one who's he's basically he's undergoing trial for a smuggling fruit bat issue. So
is that the guy from?
Yes, in federal court.
That's the senator from Rhoda, right? A Dudu or something like that?
That is correct.
Oh, okay, all right. So I mean, he would be one of the votes that are needed in the Senate if this was to pass, wouldn't it?
Yes. Once the House completes the passage, it transfers over. They basically will impeach the governor in the House, and then the Senate will hold for lack of a better word, a trial, where the governor will be given a chance to defend himself against the allegations brought by the House, and the senators will become, again, for lack of a better word, sort of the jury. They would be the ones to decide on each article. There's 18. It only takes one. It only takes 6 of them, 6 of the 9 senators, to vote yes to one of the articles for him to be removed from office.
Oh, okay.
And I think there's more than enough. I mean, a 51-page committee report was just submitted, 18 articles of impeachment, 16 representatives fully supporting it. It's like there's no the amount of people that are not in favor of it are truly a minority.
Okay, so they've already accepted the committee report, yes, and that was 16-1.
16-4. I'm sorry.
Oh,
yes,
so, okay, because I knew that there were like 4 people who were on his side, 4 representatives who were on his side. So it was 16-4.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, the minority is made up of 4 members of the House that are, as you state, more or less on the governor's side or in his favor.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, 16-4 voted to adopt the 51-page committee report that details the allegations of corruption, neglect of duty, and commissions of felony.
Okay, so now they're going to actually vote on the articles of the impeachment, right? And how many?
Correct.
And there are 18 of them?
That's correct. There are 18 articles of impeachment. It sounds like the House is going to go ahead and go through one by one. I could be mistaken. But they're going to go through one by one, and all it takes is 14 members of the House to vote yes to each article for it to be transmitted to impeach the governor, to have it transmitted
over to the Senate, and then the Senate. This is where it's really going to play out in the Senate, because he will be tried in the Senate, and that will be very detailed. And he apparently has resigned to the fact that the House of Representatives is going to vote for this impeachment, and he's already starting his defense. And something to be pointed out here, the Attorney General's office does not necessarily represent him in this matter.
That's correct. The Attorney General right now, the newly appointed Attorney General, has come out strongly and said that they will not represent him. He did mention that the governor had requested the Attorney General's office to help with his defense in the Senate, and they refused. And
so he's going to have to find legal representation on his own dime.
That's correct. From what we heard, he's already picked up a legal team. He's come out publicly to say he has a legal team put together for his defense. Rumors circulating over who the different lawyers are that have come to his side. One of which is a name that's very familiar to people out here, is one of his largest supporters and somebody that's oftentimes coming to his defense. Deanne Seamer.
Who is that?
She might be out here on island for his defense.
Who is that?
Out of the mainland.
Oh, I'm sorry. Who was the local law firm that you're talking about?
Oh, Deanne Seamer is from last I heard. She should be out here spearheading his.
I see.
His defense in the Senate.
Okay, he hasn't tapped any local Guam firms for this, has he? That you know of?
You know, not that I've heard of. There's a lot of rumors circulating about a few local attorneys that have been approached but have turned him down, but nothing official. All he has stated is that he has his defense team lined up.
Okay. Here was the other question. Was there any testimony from members of the public who did support the governor and was opposed to the impeachment?
Actually, this hearing today, basically because everybody has sat through so much of talk in the House on the impeachment, and we all realize the results, there were only a limited number of people that testified. I testified and just thanked the House of Representatives for doing everything so professionally and getting to this point. There were 2, if memory serves me right, I recall 2 people. One was the former Speaker Joe Palacios of the 17th legislature, who spoke, and he said he didn't speak on behalf or against the governor. He just basically spoke on asking the legislature to focus in on the other issues at hand, aside from impeachment. And then the only real strong pro-supporter of this administration that spoke this morning was the former governor and former Congressman Willan Tenorio, who had already come out publicly in support of the governor and against the impeachment.
Wow.
So there's no real strong opposition. There were a bunch of people that stood up and thanked the representatives, and countered some of the comments made by from Governor Tenorio.
Wow, Glenn.
Governor.
Okay, this is a lot to absorb. This is going to, I think, be in the face of a lot of people who are not familiar with the story. But the allegations are some pretty serious charges. If he is found guilty during this trial, what will the Senate move to do? Obviously, remove him from office, but there were also a bunch of allegations that were related to criminal charges. Is there discussion of having him arrested and all of that?
You know, there's always been talk, because a lot of these allegations against the governor right now are publicly known, and they've been known over the last 7 years. And people have often said that as a defense against impeachment as well. Let the courts handle it. The courts should handle this. If it's criminal, he should be tried in court. And while there's some merit to that, that he should stand trial in court for some of these charges, the level for impeachment is very drastically different than a court. And basically, neglect of duty alone would be reason for impeachment. So if the Senate does find that he's neglected his duty, or he's done an act of corruption, or basically the allegations rose to the level of impeachment, they could, as soon as they try in favor of any of the articles, he's automatically removed from office. After that point, the hope would be that the powers that be on the criminal side do act on those allegations, because they have a 51-page report, they have in-depth testimony given by multiple witnesses over multiple months out here, and so the hope would be that Alicia Limpiaco out there kind of picks up the ball and runs with it. Maybe they've been a little tentative about stepping in because he's the governor in charge out here. Maybe they've been a little bit timid because they've already removed our lieutenant governor from power for also corrupt acts in the past. His lieutenant governor within the last 7 years. And so maybe there are a number of factors that have prevented the powers that be moving ahead with criminal filing in the court, in the judicial system. But yeah, that's definitely something that might come up after the fact.
Okay.
I don't know if the Senate would have to take an active role in that. I don't think so. I think their goal is, as the Constitution provides, the ability to remove him from office for for anything even as small as incompetency, really. Other governors in other states have been just general incompetence.
Okay, so first things first is what it looks like. The other question I have, I think there was a lot of concern over security. When they tried to take this vote back in October, there was some, tires being slashed and a bunch of people raging insults at each other. Tell me what the scene was like at the legislature today. Was there a definite security forces out there?
Oh yeah, most definitely. Today is night and day difference from that time. There was a lot of hostility at that first session in October. And it was just a lot of concerned citizens kind of on opposite sides of the fence. A large majority pushing for the impeachment, but the governor's people in power fighting against it. There was ample security at that time. There were incidents that occurred this time. There's probably, I'd say, 3 times the number of police officers up here, and less people. But it's much more controlled. There have been no incidents that I've seen at all. Negative incidents that I've seen at all. And everybody's been cordial, everybody's been professional, and everybody's allowing everybody to speak on the issue. Which is the way it should be.
Yeah, and I think there are a lot of people who were holding hope, but it was going to be civil and peaceful and done intelligently, as it's a very shaky the Saipan population or CNMI population watches these proceedings. Everybody wants it to turn out to be fair, and that the process is going to be just. I think that's the most anybody should hope for.
Most definitely, and that's something that's definitely evident today. Is just the level of professionalism, the level of almost like a cordial nature among everyone, both those in attendance in the gallery, the representatives on the floor. They're dealing with an extremely sensitive issue, but it's been stretched out over a period of months. So I think everybody's been able to let their hot points settle down a little bit and really look at the facts. And the facts is, when it comes down to it, the fact is really simple. It's a question of doing what's right or doing what's wrong. You look at the allegations before them, and it's almost inconceivable that anybody in their right mind, having been raised, in a family environment, would look at some of these allegations and at all ever give us an okay nod to them, and that's what it really boils down to. And so even those 4 members that are in there that will most definitely or most likely vote against impeachment, I think they know in their heart of hearts that all they're doing right now is living up to their obligation to the person that put them in power. And sadly, what we would hope for is that they live up to their obligation to the people they represent. The 80% of the population or more that is strongly in favor of impeaching a corrupt governor.
Well, I appreciate you talking about this, Glenn. I know you're not a correspondent by career professionally, but you've done a fantastic job of letting us know what is happening inside the legislature. Everybody is watching this story, so I appreciate you giving us this play-by-play as you appeared there this morning. Good luck to you, and I hope that we can contact you again for more reaction as things pan out.
Oh, thank you so much, Patty, and feel free. Thank you for contacting me on this, and feel free to contact me anytime. Thank you so much.
All right, the pleasure was all mine. Thank you, and take good care.
You too.
All right,
bye-bye.
Bye-bye.